Grab my pillow.
Hello and welcome to another Solution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. And welcome to today. I am here with Nadine Shende. Today we are talking about the power of the voice to heal. Our voices are incredibly powerful, and they have the power to both create and destroy. And they have the power to heal. There are many, many things that we can do with our voice. And Nadine is a classically trained opera singer and a teacher of voice. So today we're going to explore all things voice. So Nadine, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm so pleased to be here. Such a joy. Thank you.
You're welcome. So maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself and how you and I came to get hooked up, and tell a little bit about your story.
Well, okay. I am a 27-year-long voice teacher. And then, well, prior to the whole pandemic thing, of course, everything shut down. So I stopped teaching for a while. Within that process, within those hairy-carry years, I became misaligned, and I I found myself being diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And that was a whole shocking journey for me. I never expected it. And I wasn't sure how to navigate it because, like you, I did not want to go a traditional method of treating myself. And of course, everything shut down for me as far as, anything of the career or even thinking about that. So, the small number of students I had during this whole shutdown thing, I had to cancel all that. Put those by the wayside for a while and just focus on trying to heal, which from my doctors at the time, they were back in the spring. Apparently I was ready for palliative care. So yeah, I lost a lot of weight. I already hit what they call cachexis. And so I was told I really probably didn't have very long to live. So anyway, I did many different things to try and figure this out and heal. Awakening weekend, trying to open myself up to the universe of what things. And then I came across your video, and I decided to order your book, Simplicity of Self-Healing. Read it, there's that plug, read it and thought to myself, I have to get in touch with this woman because she did it. And if she can do it, I can do it as well. So that's what I did. And I did your 12-week aligning yourself, connecting you to you. And I am a graduate now. So I've completed the course. And as people can see, well, I'm not dying. I'm fine. My blood work is all great. My CAT scans are really good, and much to the surprise of modern medicine. It's like I'm like a walking miracle. So in this process, there was a lot of degeneration in the body, obviously because of all the multiple shock traumas that I went through. And one of the things is being a singing teacher and being a singer myself, is there was an atrophy in the diaphragm. I had a lot of pain. I had cancer, they called it that, from the base of my brain all the way down to my tailbone. So my whole spinal column was completely compromised. The MRIs just showed just deterioration all the way up and down the spine. I could barely walk. So I figure, okay, I have to try and rehabilitate this, what's going on with me. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'd lost 2 inches in height. How am I going to do all this? So I was talking to you in one of our classes, and you suggest go back into toning, tone, see and I thought, okay, I'll start doing that. And I wasn't able to sing. I couldn't sustain a note at all anymore. So I just started pulling out, I had singing bowls that were given to me for Christmas, and started, my kids would play them for me because I couldn't bend over and actually do it myself. So now I have them out, and I've been doing this, and I've been trying to get my breath back down and rediscover the healing powers that is simply within not only the breath, but also the sounds that I make. And I'm just focusing simply on the simple vowel sounds, I, yo, those ones. And which is when you're teaching voice, that's what you focus on, because you sing vowels, you don't sing consonant. I mean, you can sustain consonants like M's and N's and stuff, but you can't really sing a T or sing a D, so you sing the vowels, and the beauty of the voice shines through vowel production. Right. So when you hear people doing it, it's like it's like probably the most open sound. But again, it's finding, first of all, the breath flow first. And and there's so much that comes through in that healing power of voice. So I'm learning how to reactivate there. I'm a journeying process, because this is all I'm still on the healing path. So let's just put it that way. So this is where I am now, and I'm looking forward to what the universe, God, has in store for me, and how this next chapter of my life is going to unfold. I just have to be open. So.
Absolutely. Congratulations on your fast recovery in the, in the impossible, doing the impossible according to the medical model.
I'm here, my hair is here, my eyebrows are here. So, and I've gained my weight back. I was down 103 pounds. I'm like, well, it's coming back. So yeah.
It's really amazing when we start to realize how brainwashed we have been into believing that these things are not curable, and that these things are death sentences, when clearly that's not the case.
Right.
And we've really been again brainwashed out of the magic. And this is the miracle that you are, this walking, talking miracle. This is how we all are. Miracles are actually normal. It's actually how we are designed to live our lives. But all of that has been taken away because we have been convinced by other people's voices that it's not possible.
Yeah. And other people's voices have such an impact on us, because we are connected. And we hear that almost like a cliche. It's like, oh, we are all one. But we really are.
Yes.
And especially with our loved ones, our friends, our family, the things they have to say really affect how we behave and react and respond to whatever's going on in our lives. Like I was told, well, listen to the doctors, listen to what they have to say. Don't make any rash decisions. Don't. Right. So of course, and when anybody who's been diagnosed with particularly cancer, cancer is probably the most shocking of diagnoses that anyone can get. Like, fine, if you get something that's, you have MS, it's shocking, but no, okay, I know what's going on with me. We can treat this, or, it's not that immediate death sentence thing, or you have, fibromyalgia or something like that. It's like, okay, I can treat this, I can figure this out. So cancer on the way, you were thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. What's going to be in my funeral? Who's going to come? What music do I want? I was thinking all these things. Yeah. So yeah, that's
You
Yeah.
know, and all of these thoughts that we're thinking don't feel good. Like, oh no, who's going to be at my funeral? That's not really a particularly pleasant thought to be thinking. And it doesn't feel good in our bodies, which means that our bodies are reacting to those thought patterns. So because cancer is, you know, this killer disease, or so they say, this is why when we get that shocking diagnosis, the lungs are the organ in the body that responds to a death fright. So when we are shocked into believing that, oh my gosh, I have a killer disease, I'm going to die, the lungs respond to that, which is why lung cancer is like the primary secondary cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it doesn't spread. We have a secondary conflict now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you know, the power of the words those doctors speak, how they have no idea that when they give a death sentence to someone, if that someone takes that in as real, if they believe that death sentence, they're going to literally live that out. They're going to create that in their reality.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so important to realize that this isn't a death sentence at all.
It's so powerful. Like when you get that too.
Mhm.
Like I think back to some of my appointments and just feeling that wave of trauma hit you,
Yep,
that sensation that
exactly.
comes into the body of the, oh no, what do I do? Yeah, that I remember. I really, I can feel it, almost relive it, like feel how that wave of emotion just came over me, and like it's like this heat,
Mhm.
and not even being able to get my breath down.
Exactly.
Right. So you can't you start even just shallow breathing from the shock. You can't even get your breath down.
Precisely.
So
Yes. That shock is literally an electrical shock. Thoughts are electrical and emotions are magnetic. So we've never been taught about energy, how to understand energy. And when those shocks come, it's literally like getting hit by lightning. It's like all of a sudden, bah, and now we have our finger in the socket, and that shock reverses the flow of our energy. It literally shuts down the flow of life force energy. When
mhm,
we're living in the flow, we're flowing life force energy out into the world, living in our joy, singing our soul song, speaking our passion, speaking our truth. And that's expansive and it feels good. But then and that energy is flowing outward into the world. But these shocks, boom, they reverse the flow of energy. Now the energy is coming at us and we feel like, oh no, what are we going to do? So it's literally our ability to process these shocks and clear them out so that we can get our life force energy moving in the right direction again.
yeah. It's like a reversal,
Yep.
like you're saying. It's like you're flowing one way, life is going nice, da 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 da, I'm fine. And then, something happens, everything stops. And then and then it does this weird reversal. And there's a going inward, like you're not even, you can't even think outside of your own little bubble,
Exactly. It makes
right?
us feel small. It makes us
Mhm.
feel victimized. It makes us feel weak. It makes us feel like we don't know what to do. And this is, it's so incredibly disempowering. And I love what you talked about, the shallow breathing, because as soon as that shock comes in, what do? We go, and we take that breath. But then when we take that breath in, we don't want to breathe to that same place again because that place was scary. So now we start breathing less than that. So the shallow breathing starts to, the shallow breathing begins because we don't want to breathe through that last place, because this was a scary place to be when we inhaled all of that shock. So now it's like, oh, well, if we don't go there, then maybe we won't re-experience that shock.
Right.
But the breath is literally the thing that can start to ground out that shock and start to rebalance the body.
Yes, and I was even at the point where I knew about the power of breath, but it hurt.
Yep.
It was very painful for me to breathe down there. I try and draw that breath in, and then I would hit that. It was like a wall.
Yep.
That wouldn't allow me to breathe down there. For some people, maybe they'd start coughing. Yeah, I'm thinking about, and so it would, you'd start to cough or have like a spasm, or it was difficult to sneeze or hiccup. And because, when you sneeze, you take a deep breath. It's an automatic thing, or even a hiccup for that matter, which is just a diaphragmatic spasm. So when you take that low, deep breath down below, it's like, oh, like you're bypassing. There's some emotional blockage in there.
Yep.
So,
that shock tends to lock the fascia down in the body. And so the diaphragm, the fascia around the diaphragm literally starts to clamp down. And it makes it extremely painful in many instances.
Yes. Yeah. And then when you're learning the deep breathing as well, the ribs expand.
Yes.
So, if you're diseased in there, you for some people, they'll even feel the pain. For myself, I could feel the pain deep in the what they call the intercostal muscles, along the rib cage. So, now I can feel, I can open it up a little more, and I feel that, oh, it's like letting go, thank God. So
yeah. This is why I use my number one favorite tool, block therapy, to start melting through all those adhesions and start softening those things again, so they're not so rigid and locked down, getting that fascia to melt and move again.
And melt, yes, and letting go. Yeah. So, and the
Mhm.
shoulders, that's another big one.
Exactly.
So where we hold that tension in our body, the shoulders, we hunch up, and it's taking the weight of the world on our shoulders, kind of thing. I think that's the emotional correspondent, isn't it? Something like that. So yeah, you feel when you see people walking around like this, all hunched up, and that's what I was. I was like this in the spring. So now I'm learning, okay, got to free that up, find the breath, reopen up the cage, or open up, the chest, and so you can just feel as the breath comes in. And there's this difference between taking a big breath and allowing the breath in.
Beautiful.
So that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things I've always taught. Like when people are learning to sing, is this: you're not really aggressively trying to breathe, because when people try to do that, if you try to aggressively breathe, take in a deep breath. Well, what happens? People go like this, right? That's what they generally do. Oh, I'm taking a deep breath in now. And if you see me, it's like my shoulders are up, I'm tight, that's not the way to take the breath in. You allow the breath in.
From doing block therapy, I've realized that, as you use your belly to breathe, as the belly expands, the breath just comes in automatically.
It does. Yeah. Well, you do that when you sleep.
Mhm.
If you're in a deep, deep sleep, if you ever see anybody, and I explain this as well, whenever you see anybody who has fallen asleep on the couch and they're crashed and they're flat on the couch and they're deep in sleep, you will notice that when they're lying down and they're in a deep sleep, their belly will rise and fall just with that natural rhythm. Even if they're snoring, they're just like, and the belly will rise and fall. It's the most restful breath they're taking. So if you're having a good night's sleep, you were doing some really good belly breathing.
Yeah. And babies, that's how babies breathe. But
Mhm.
then as they have shock and trauma after shock and trauma, that breath starts to become more and more shallow. And
Yes.
we start to lose that deep belly breath. So we're not feeding and healing ourselves. We're not getting oxygen to all the places that need it. So, retraining ourselves to breathe properly is extremely healing.
It is. Or when you even see a baby wail, nobody likes to hear a crying baby, but if uh, when a baby is really crying, you will see they naturally belly breathe when they take that breath in. You'll see that little belly and a little, and you always think to yourself, how can a little baby scream so loud? They can go on and on and on for, half an hour. And it's like these piercing wails and they're coming out of this little body. And it is that breath that they're taking. It's happening naturally
Exactly.
and they're letting it out.
Yep. And there's so much power in that.
Yeah.
Our voices are incredibly powerful. And, when we start to understand that voice is sound and sound is frequency, we can start to understand that all of the atoms in our bodies are vibrating all the time. We each have our own frequency, and we can adjust that frequency intentionally. And we can do that with our voice. We can do it with the words that we speak. We can do it with telling ourselves some beautiful things,
Mhm.
such as, I'm worthy, I'm loving, I love you, dear body, thank you, all these types of words. And we can also use our words to destroy ourselves. I'm not okay. This isn't good. There's something wrong with me.
Yes.
So starting to realize that we can use our voice to soothe ourselves, to calm ourselves, and to heal ourselves. But it has to be done with intention, which means it has to be done consciously. When we're speaking our words of, I'm not okay, there's something wrong with me, that's the unconscious.
Yes.
So there's only consciousness. We can be unaware of the consciousness that feeds and heals and soothes and is the magic. The place where the magic and the miracles happen is in consciousness, in the light that we are. And when we're speaking these unconscious words of, I'm not okay, this isn't good, there's something wrong with me, we're literally turning our own lights off.
Yeah. And one of the things I always found for myself was the difficulty of self love and how we know we're supposed to love ourselves, care for ourselves, but it's getting over that hump of speaking the kindness to ourselves.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's easy to say kind words to other people. Oh, with a friend, oh, you're going to be fine. You're doing great. You want to be in on their team and encourage them. But that own inner narrative sometimes it's very difficult hump to overcome, especially if there's a lot of programming and self-love was just not programmed. at
Well,
all.
yeah, we've been programmed out of that love of self. And, you know, we have been programmed to believe that it's selfish. Don't be selfish. Don't put yourself first. Put everybody else first. Give, 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 give. It's better to give than to receive. And, you know, so, and we've been taught, you know, it's narcissistic to love yourself. And there's so many distortions in all of that. And the the funniest part is that we are love. It is who and what we are as the souled beings, these the beautiful, divine, sacred souls that we are. We are literally love incarnate.
Yes.
So it's not about loving ourselves. It's about allowing ourselves to feel the love we are.
Yes. I remember once I was doing what's called a deepening awakening weekend. This was with our oneness community for my meditation group. And we did this meditation where we were looking at a child sleeping in a bed. And we were standing at the doorway looking at this child, and it was just this little tiny like child that had been abused, reprimanded, told they were ugly, that they weren't good enough. And they had been probably spanked. They had been, and you were feeling for this child that was lying in this bed, just sleeping there. And you wanted to just tell this child, it's okay. You're fine. Nothing's wrong with you. You're good. You are really, really good. You're fine. And I remember as I'm meditating, going through this, I go to scoop this child up and the child turns around and it's me. And when we got to that point and you realized it was me, it took my breath away because I was all ready to embrace this child. And yet I was like, I wanted to say, I love you. I love you. And it's me. So it was probably one of the most profound meditations I'd ever done. And, you can see just by going the visualization of that, saying like, of course who wants to harm a child? And then realizing that, no, that's all of us. It's all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the programming. That is how we as humanity have been used and abused and turned against each other in the unconsciousness. It is because when we start to realize there is consciousness and we are all part of that consciousness. There's not your consciousness and my consciousness. It's how we connect to the universal consciousness. We are all able to connect to universal consciousness, to total awareness. And when we're connected to that, we're connected, we feel connected. We feel love, we feel peace, we feel ease, we feel abundance, we feel the magic of all that is. But we have been trained as humans that we're not that. We have been trained into unconsciousness. We have been trained to believe that we're separate, that we're not good enough, that we're small, that we're victims, that we have no power to change anything, that the world is the way it is and we just have to deal with it. And all of that is part of the unconsciousness. So, we have all been immersed in that for hundreds of thousands of years as humanity. And now we're starting to see that, wait a minute, none of this has been my fault. I never made mistakes. None of us have. We have all been trained into unconsciousness. So we are treating each other unconsciously from that victim standpoint, from the fear, the doubt, the guilt, the worry, the shame, the blame. And now we believe that when our bodies respond to those shame, blame, fear, doubt, guilt, worry, anxiety, that there's something wrong with the bodies, because we've all been taught there's something wrong with us.
Yeah. Yes. And we're like the front line people starting to unlearn these narratives.
Exactly.
And spreading the word to other people that this is something we have to awaken from.
Exactly.
It's very important that we start to awaken from the mass level of programming that's going on worldwide in this loony bin of a planet right now. And we have to wake up that it doesn't, we're being played. We're pawns on somebody else's chessboard. So and that's really the truth, I think, of it. And we have to snap out of it. We have to snap out of it.
Exactly. When we start to realize that we are those innocent babies, when we come in, we are pure, we are innocent, we are the soul in a physical body. The soul is divine and perfect and pure. And when it gets used and abused and told that it's wrong, and it's very, very, it destroys us from the inside out, and our bodies are simply reflecting those traumas. So we have to start to realize that, wait a second, why are we all being traumatized? Why are we all being used and abused?
Exactly.
Why are we all being convinced that there's something wrong with us, that we're not okay, that we have to do what we're told? Who's telling us, and why are they telling us? And why are we not being told how magnificent and beautiful we are, and how powerful we are, and how our bodies are designed to heal themselves automatically when we take control of our own health and stop listening to the programming of the authority figures?
And how those who try to say, well, everything is on the planet, grows on the planet for us to heal ourselves.
Yep.
There are healing plants. There's all kinds of things that grow in nature that can help us try to realign our bodies if it is out of alignment. And yet there is such this trajectory to debunk these things. Sometimes I think when they don't even regulate it, say like from the FDA, there's a reason they won't regulate it. Maybe it's my conspiracy brain going, but they say, oh, well, it's not as effective, and you have to put they don't regulate it. So why?
Well, why are there things that need to be regulated? What is it that they're actually regulating? It turns out, when we start to really look, Mother Nature has given us all the medicine that we need, all of the plants, all of the foods, all of the things that actually can heal us and help us on our journey. But at the turn of the last century, all of a sudden, somebody realized that, oh, hey, you can make synthetic pills out of oil or out of petroleum. And suddenly, all of the natural products became alternative. Very interesting. Things that come directly from nature are now the alternative. Alternative to what?
Right.
I think that we have been programmed backwards to realize, and now we're still being programmed all day, every day, by every other commercial on television, telling us to ask our doctor, take this pill. Is this pill right for you? If you have these symptoms, then you may have a very terrible disease and you better find out if you're okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. There's a really good documentary that was by James Corbett. I don't know if you know who he's located in Japan, but it's called How Big Oil Conquered the World. You can probably see it on BitChute. And it's a really good documentary that traces how the whole industry became what we have today. Yeah, well worth watching. Yeah, it gets into the oil industry, and yeah, so How Big Oil Conquered the World. You can put that on your to watch list. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's the ones who own big oil.
Yeah.
It's how these men conquered the world.
Right.
Like we have to make it personal, because it's, there is no such thing as big oil. It is the people who own big oil. And we have to be able to see who is manipulating.
Yeah, who the big players are. So
who are the ones that are using their voices the loudest to turn our world around. When we are being told that we have to, that if we don't, we're going to die, or if we don't, we're going to kill our grandmother, or, why are these voices so loud? And why are they telling us such scary, manipulative things? When we start using our own voices and we start discerning our voice from the voices out there, it starts to become pretty easy to see that the voices out there are not really in our best interest to listen to.
Yeah, and some of the voices like to stay hidden.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like even the I can go into the more musical realm of voices, where in the 1920, of course, they were studying frequencies using you've probably heard of the cymatic machines, where they put the sand and then they send in a frequency into and so and they tune the different frequencies, and then many of the frequencies that are harmonious with our planet, like they say the famous Tesla 432 being the A. Well, back then that was being studied, and it was the musical tuning had been changed from A being a standard 432, which is part of the Schumann resonance, and it's more in harmony apparently with the human body. And when 432 is plugged in to a cymatics machine, a beautiful pattern will show up, a geometrical pattern will show up. Well, our standard tuning today was changed in the 1930s prior to World War II because the powers that be, the voices that be, decided that we needed what they believed was called a standard tuning, and they moved the tuning from 432 to 440, 440. So when you get a piano tuner that comes into a home, they will tune your piano where A is now 440. Well, if you put that 440 into a cymatics machine and you add into that frequency, that you will see the shape go from, say, from 442 or 432, and it's this cohesive symmetry, sacred geometry, and you will see that as it changes to 440, it becomes more distorted, and it becomes less cohesive. And this is what we are listening to. It's on our radio stations, all the music that you play, the stuff that everyone dances to, and nobody knows, and your ear doesn't pick it up either.
Yeah.
Like if I can't, unless a person has perfect pitch, which very few people do, like I have what's I call relative pitch. I can sort of guesstimate by how it feels in my voice what the note is, but it does affect because we know that like water, like the emoto, I'm going in different directions here,
Yeah.
but we know that it does affect us. So we resonate to that. And so when we're not really, we can't hear it. So they're saying, well, what's the difference? Now it's all standard. It's this 440. 432 is just slightly lower. And if you listen to two different, or you listen to one piece, and I think there's something on YouTube where there's a fella who's playing the guitar, and he does that famous, it's called Fur Elise, this Beethoven thing that everybody learns. Yeah, that one. So he plays it on his guitar and on 432, and then he puts it on 440, and you can hear like there's a slight difference. But a lot of people, like in those comment sections, say, yeah, it feels more peaceful in 432.
Yep.
It has just a little more calming effect.
Exactly.
But separated, you wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm. This is why, we've never been taught about non-physical things. We have been taught that everything is just physical, that if it's not physical, that it's not real. Well, sound is not physical. Frequency is not physical, but it's very, very real. And it has a very real effect on our physicalness. The molecules in our body are vibrating at frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And when our normal natural frequency is 432, but everything around us becomes tuned to a different frequency, it literally starts to distort the entirety of all of creation here
Yes.
on this planet. And it is very subtle and it is very insidious. And
Yes.
who would think to look at frequency? Well, we're starting to look at it. We're starting to realize that frequency is really, really important. The frequency of the music we listen to, the frequency of the electromagnetic field around us, and the frequency of what we speak is extremely important. And when we use our own frequency consciously, we can tune our own energy field back into coherence, and we can start to override the external frequencies. This is really the essence of what healing is. It is bringing the distortions that have come from the external world back into coherence by tuning our own frequency, tuning body, mind, and soul back into coherence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you think, well, okay, that all sounds well and good. How do I get there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do I get there? How do I do that? So
Yeah,
it's a journey.
It's really about making that choice, really about making the choice to take command of our own lives and to start to realize our own power. Once we make the choice to start becoming conscious again, all the parts and pieces that we need start to show up for us. It's like we don't have to know all the answers right away.
Right.
All we need to do is make the choice, and then everything comes to us.
Yes. Yeah. And I made that choice.
Absolutely.
I made the choice.
It's so interesting that when your voice was cut off, when you were not able to use your voice in the same way, when they shut everything down, that's when all the problems began, because you weren't able to nurture yourself. You weren't able to use your gifts and talents to help others and to express yourself. So it's completely normal and natural that this type of situation would occur in your physical body, because it was showing you, hey, here's where you've cut off the flow of energy. Here's where the flow of energy has been cut off.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And my mothering, I'm a nurturer by nature. So, yeah, I couldn't, that wasn't allowed to flow anymore. My opinions were not considered. So yeah, when you're not heard, um, the voice is cut off. Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, the
So
voice
what
is
are some of the ways that you're using your voice to heal?
well, once, of course, once I became ill, I think my family started to listen to what Mama had to say. So I was able to start healing in that manner. Um, with my singing, this is still new for me. So I'm still trying to figure out, well, how am I going to rehabilitate what I once had, uh, or how am I going to redefine this? So I know that that chapter of teaching, I did that for 27 years, so I'm ready to hang that hat up and move forward into something else. But I think I want it more into more of a healing mechanism. Uh, I belonged to a group, a fabulous group. This was one of my um, volunteer jobs, I guess you could call it, sort of a little mission thing. And it was a group of wonderful ladies, and we get together um, twice a month and we'd rehearse. But one of the things we did is we would go to hospitals and hospices and we'd sing bedside. And we would do just very simple chanting. And that was a healing, using our voices as a healing mechanism.
Mhm.
And it'd be very simple, almost lullaby songs where you sit at a person's bedside and there was one fellow I just came to mind now, as we were in this hospital and it was in the cancer unit. And here's the breathing thing. He couldn't get his breath down. He was coughing and coughing and coughing, like just having this fit that just wouldn't let up. And we came into the room and we told him, just if you can, just relax as much as you can. If you cough, just keep coughing. It's fine. And we'll just try and take in the sounds, allow it to wash over you. Within about 2-3 minutes of us, his coughing subsided. And he said that, he goes, I can't believe this. This is like a miracle. You calmed my coughing.
Mhm.
So the power of word and sound has this profound effect on people.
Exactly.
It becomes like it's a prayer. It's a meditation. That's the real beauty of our words and our sound, if it's used in that way.
Yeah, when it's used consciously with
Mhm.
intention. If maybe people here have seen the Greg Braden video on YouTube, where there's a woman in, I think she was in China. She had a cancerous tumor in her belly, and doctors were standing around and they chanted. All of them were on the exact same phrase. They had chosen a phrase. And so they were standing around the woman. They were using the tones consciously, and you can see the tumor dissolve in real time in under 3 minutes, simply by using the voice. This is the power that we all have. It's not magic, it's frequency. It's
Yes.
actual science. Science isn't like the stuff that we're told. It's not about studying stuff. Science is like how the universe works. Like that's what science actually is. And this is what the power of tone and frequency and intention can do.
It does. It can be such a beautiful gift to the world.
Exactly.
We have to, yeah, people need to see it more and
Yeah.
experience it more.
Exactly. You know, and sound baths are becoming more popular these days. You know, I love going to sound baths. I love going to the symphony. I love going to things that have beautiful, coherent sounds and using those sounds with intention. When I would go to the symphony and be listening to Mozart, I would just allow the frequency of all those notes to bring my body back into coherence. I would listen with the intention of realigning all of my cells. And when I go to a sound bath, it's the same thing. You can feel the frequency. And if you utilize your consciousness, your intention, you can literally start bringing your body back into coherence.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Whether you're receiving or even giving it.
Exactly. Precisely. And when we're using our voice, our tone, we can create our own frequencies and we can direct those frequencies through our body using intention. We can literally heal ourselves with our own voice if we choose.
That's true. That's true. When singers, especially in the opera world, we can sometimes we can almost get high on our own production of sound because at that level of singing, people know this, but a lot of times on people sing on opera stage, they're not mic'd, so they have to sing. They have to cut over an orchestra, and the voice has to be strong enough and have that, they call that squealo, that cut that cuts over the orchestra. And so there's a lot of precision that's involved in creating that tone. But when they can get into this zone, they call it singing in the zone, or like an artist who's like, doing something, they get into the zone, or a sports figure that's they're in the zone, they're at the peak of what they're doing. And as you find yourself moving into this zone, it's like you're in the flow, and you can feel the music, you can feel the sound moving through your body. You can even create overtones, which are like sounds above sounds. So sometimes the singing bowls will do that. You can hear the sounds above the sounds if you have good quality crystal bowls. So it can be very self-healing. And when people can tune in deeply into their bodies, when they're creating their own voice and their own tone, I call it, when I would teach it, and a person can find that, it says you're creating your own vocal print. It's unique, and nobody else can copy that. No one can sound like you, because when you've aligned yourself that way, you're in flow. You feel your body letting go, releasing, and letting the breath create the sound. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we are each soul is created completely uniquely. I talk about each one of us being like the snowflake. Every snowflake is completely unique, and we have our own sacred geometry. So every one of us is going to sound different because our geometry is different.
Yes.
Again, we've never been taught that we are sacred. We never have been taught that we have a geometry. There's literally an energetic structure of consciousness that we are. And it's completely and utterly unique. Every soul song is completely unique, and we are here to sing our soul song. But we are here in this crazy world that doesn't want us to sing our soul song. It wants us to sing the song that we've been told to sing. And That's not our soul song.
It's not, no, it's not our soul song. It's, yeah. And appreciating one another's soul song.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We've
Yeah.
all, in this world, we're all taught that we're supposed to sing the same tune, and that, you know, pay your taxes, go ask your doctor, but whatever those tunes are. And none of those tunes feel good. None of them feel empowering. None of them honor our sacredness and our integrity. So it's really, really important for us to start to literally tune in to ourselves so that we can reconnect to that soul song.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
where all the healing comes from, because the dis-ease is the incoherence, the discord in our being. And the healing is bringing everything back into resonance, into coherence. And
Mhm.
that means that we are speaking our truth, that we are literally singing our soul song, imprinting the world with our joy, with our passions, with the gifts and talents that we have to share. We all came in with gifts and talents, whether that's singing or being a mother, or whatever it is, being an athlete. There are all kinds of ways that we are here to contribute.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's really up to us to find that authentic soul song and start singing it again.
And not to judge. I think
Exactly.
that's a really like a knee-jerk thing. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Well, what am I supposed to be doing? So it, yeah, tuning in and finding, no, I feel this is where my my voice is telling me what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how many people have, you know, teenagers, said, I want to be a singer. And the parents say, You can't do that. There's no money in that. You need to be a nurse, or you need to be a lawyer.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess you're right. I'm going to need to go do something to make money. And then they give up their talent. And
Mhm.
it's literally the thing they came here for. It's the thing they're passionate about. And there are so many ways to make that work in this society.
Yes. Yes. Even, even if it's an avocation, it may not be the way you pay the rent, but it's something that really speaks to your soul. It can be what they call an avocation.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
I tell some of the students, like, you do not need to be on, not everybody needs to be on the stage with the lights shining on them, and you know all this adulation. That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to do it for the art's sake, or do you want it because you want recognition?
Mhm.
What's the motivation here? And be really truthful with
Exactly.
yourself. A lot of times it's like, oh well, I just want to be seen.
Yeah.
So that's it. Usually I can tell it's the people that wear it's like they want this, they are hungry for it. That's a different thing than, okay, I want to get the role. I want
Mhm.
to be the star on the latest musical,
Yeah.
which is a completely different thing. But then there's just some people that just, I just want to be part of the team. I just want to have fun. I want to be in the chorus. I want to be in that creative process.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful too. It makes the mosaic. It makes the picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have one of my friends is a concert violinist, and she plays in the symphony. And she says, I don't need to be the concert master. I don't need to be the number one violin. I can be the number 12 violin. And I am totally fine with that, because it's all about the process of making music. Every single one is equally important. We're all adding our own special notes to the production,
Yes.
and we have to all be there. And like, it's not the same if we're all missing. So
Right.
it's just like, it's really about the process of making beautiful music.
Yes. And even in the outside of the art world, are you, for some people it's like, well, I have to be the best of it, people who are in entrepreneurial endeavors. I have to be the person who has 40,000 followers, or I have to have something like that.
Mhm.
Looking for that recognition, but what's letting go of that judgment, and having, I guess that's a part of our social media programming too.
Oh yeah. He who has the most toys wins. Bigger
Mhm.
is better, more is better. And if you don't have billions of dollars, you're nothing. That's the programming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, we start to realize that that's not where it's at. That's
Well,
not where the
is it,
happiness is.
yeah, and is it any wonder that there's so much anxiety and depression in the world today?
Exactly. Yes. And
When
when
you're given that program and you're given that message,
yeah,
how many young people feel like failures?
exactly. Yeah, that was my story for years and years. I felt like the failure. And yeah, I ended up in this cancer situation because my self-esteem was just, rock bottom. I had hardly any self-esteem. I didn't love myself at all. There was something wrong with me because I couldn't fit into this crazy, distorted world. And
Hmm.
so it took that experience to empower myself, to realize, wait a minute, I'm already in the world of hurt here, and I'm certainly not going to go this, what to me seemed like a very barbaric route of chemo and radiation or radical surgery. And I was like, I can't put myself through that. I see what that is. So once I
Hmm.
realized that, it's up to me to heal myself. I know what's out of balance. I understand what's out of balance, and it's not my body. It is my body, but it's my emotional state that
Yeah.
is really out of balance. I am not in coherence with my soul. I am not being the masterful being that we are all here to be. When we are being the soul that we are, there's nothing in this physical realm that has any power over us. And then we create magic. It's our natural state of being. We create health when we're fully conscious of who we are. We create heaven on earth. Consciousness and our light create heaven on earth. Our unconsciousness and the dark create the opposite. So which way are we moving? We're being moved in the opposite direction. So it's up to us to move ourselves back into coherence and start actually creating heaven on earth for ourselves first. It has to come through us. So by default, we have to create it for ourselves. We have to experience it so that we can then share it. If we're not experiencing it, we cannot share it.
It's such a happy path.
Right? It's amazing.
It's a
And it,
happy path.
yeah, and it's self first, but
Mhm.
it's 100%. Oh, I had a teacher once who would say it's 100% service to self and 100% service to humanity. But it comes through the self first. So in order to really truly serve humanity, we have to be healthy, we have to be happy, we have to be using our voice, we have to be able to speak our truth. And this is where we are at in human history at this point. And the ones that are starting to wake up and realize this and speak the truth are they're getting silenced at every opportunity, but there's too many of us now. They can't
Yeah.
silence everyone.
And we should not, I think now more than ever, we need to speak up louder.
Exactly.
It's our turn to be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, because yeah, we've been silenced for too long.
Yep.
And we need to start shouting from the rooftop. It's our turn now. Hear us out.
Exactly. Yeah. The
Yeah.
darkness has been in control for far too long.
Yes.
So
And
it's
it was,
time
no,
for
it
us.
was, what you said something was very interesting about like that service, because it sort of was told that there was an either or, a service to self or a service
Exactly.
to others.
Yes.
But when you look at it from that paradigm of like, well, you have to, you know, everyone knows you fill your well first before you can give to others. So this whole, it does not have to be an either or.
Exactly.
Like, not being selfish, of course, service
Yeah.
to self. It's just about filling your well so that you can give. So yeah, that's another little trick on the mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. We have been taught that polarity and duality are what is. But now it's time to bring in the and. It's both. It's not just either or. It's both. We have the ability to choose either one. So if we're going in the negative direction, we have the absolute total ability to flip it around. And it really, truly only takes a shift of consciousness. It just simply takes us becoming conscious of the power that we actually have to create heaven on earth for ourselves and for the rest of humanity.
Yes. It was beautiful.
Absolutely. Nadine, this has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So yes, and I remember to breathe deeply and find your breath. If you feel yourself a little off, yeah, just bring it in, bring it deep into the body, down into the bones, and just let it release it out with a sigh. So
Exactly.
whatever that sound may be.
Right. And don't ever let anyone convince you that you're not okay or that you're going to die because your body's doing something. This is never, ever true. You are the one that is in charge of you. You get to choose your story. You get to tell your own story. You can tell a story of tragedy, and you can also tell a story of triumph, just like Nadine has done, and just like I have done, right? It's not a death sentence ever, unless you choose it to be.
That's right. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Nadine. We really, really appreciate you coming here today and having this beautiful conversation. So we have Carol and Michelle and Branny and Delbert and Kinsey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. Everybody is saying what a wonderful conversation this has been.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
and enjoy the course. It's wonderful.
Yes, come and learn how to align with your radiantly healthy self so you can be healthy.
Yes. Do the journaling, just do the work. You won't steer anyone wrong. So love it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Until next Sunday, create for yourselves a great week. And we'll see you again next Sunday for Solution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. Bye for now.